afternoon, and welcome to Real Chicks Rock Presents Real Discussions. I am your host, Michelle Dawes-Burt, and as always, I'm super excited to be here. It is a beautiful day in the neighborhood here in Atlanta. 60-something degrees, maybe 70. The sun will not stop shining all weekend. There are people all over the place, and we love it. It is no signs of a pandemic ever happening here in this city, at least this weekend. And we're so happy. We're so glad about it. Excuse me for my raspiness. It is pollen is everywhere. Cars are green, and I believe I have like allergies or sinuses or something going on. So if I sound a little raspy, that's what it's from. So please forgive me and just just indulge me for the next 60 minutes or so. But it does not take away my attitude and the fact that I am here sitting next to someone very legendary, and I'm going to introduce him in just a minute. But I want to welcome all of the new listeners. Thank you so much for taking a little bit of time to spend with us today. Let me tell you what Real Chicks Rock is all about. It's all about creatively collaborating and connecting to raise awareness regarding issues that impact women. And we do it through community service, public speaking, our charity work, and we do it through the arts. We have been doing this particular platform. We are about to approach our 8th season next month in April. Super excited about that. I've had the blessed honor and opportunity to talk about people from politics to teachers to entertainers to singers. We've talked to anybody that we felt had something to say. And today is no different. I love talking to iconic people that love what they do and have been doing it for quite some time. I always want to give them a space and a place where they can share their story and their passion. And today is no different. Today's topic is We Made It. And my guest today is DJ Rasta Root.
What a wonderful introduction.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
Oh man, I'm so excited to have you. How are you?
I'm doing really well, thank you. The weather's great, sun is shining.
Yes.
So I'm excited. I'm happy to be here.
Yes. And I see you about town, and we're going to get about that. And there's something about you. You're just a quiet storm. You're just a beautiful person. The energy you give to people, you're inside, you're outside. It just seems like people can embrace you, can embody you. And we're going to talk about that because that's not always the combination in a hip hop or in an entertainment type setting.
Correct.
So it's good to know that people are balanced and you got it. So let's take it from the top.
Yes.
Where are you from?
Well, I'm born originally in Fort St. John, British Columbia, which is a small oil town on the Alaska Highway.
Wow.
In British Columbia. My parents are from Trinidad, and my father migrated the family there for a job with an oil company.
Wow.
And so I was conceived in Trinidad. My sister was born in Trinidad, but I was born in Canada.
Okay. So weather, very cold there.
Super cold.
Super cold. Not a lot of outside action or...
Not a lot of outside action. I was actually the first black baby born in that town.
Are you serious?
My mom's, and I was born with bronchitis, so I was in the hospital for 6 weeks. And my mom said that when I was born, everybody in the hospital came to see this black baby. So I find that to be interesting, just based on my life path and the choices I've made of, trying to be unique. And I think it was kind of born into me.
You made history coming out of your mom.
Absolutely, yeah.
Man,
Yeah,
everybody can't say that or do that.
No, for sure. And then Fort St. John is also on the American list of like terrorist watch list places because it's so close to Russia, which is crazy.
Wow.
Alaska than Russia. So I haven't been back since I was born, but I'd love to take a visit back to just see where my beginning.
You should. Let me ask you, because Canadian, Trinidadian parents, right? There's that Caribbean essence, right? I would assume in the household.
Sure.
My mom is Jamaican, so I get it, right? So might be the cooking, the eating, the listening of music. What was the soundtrack like in your home growing up?
I mean, it was a lot of I grew up in different countries, so that's a very interesting question because a lot of times it was music that wasn't indigenous to Trinidad. It was disco music. It was pop from Europe. It was Caribbean music. It was reggae. It was ska.
Yeah.
Alternative music. I grew up on a lot of a broad spectrum of music. But mainly from my parents, it was probably like calypso.
Okay.
And a little bit of soca.
Okay.
And then a lot of steel pan. Like we listen to like steel pan church albums, gospel albums on Sundays.
Awesome.
And I still remember those, those times.
Did you gravitate to a particular genre of music as a kid?
I think before I heard Rapper's Delight, I had no idea we could even make stuff like that. I was heavy into like a lot of the European bands and a lot of the music that probably you wouldn't think a black kid would listen to. But we absorbed all that. My sister and I did.
So was it more like the Kinks or the Stones or the Beatles when you say European bands, or was it more of an underground type vibe of band?
It would be more of like the Blondie.
Blondie.
That sticks out to me. Particularly in Holland, Blondie was a big one.
Okay.
And groups like that, and then a little further on,
The Cure.
I always wonder why these white kids can have these cool white haircuts, and I can't. My stuff's curly. Until hip hop came around, and I was like, wait a minute, I can grow a flat top. You can. So you're getting exposed to all this music, which is great, because that sets the background and the playground for you. So you say you've been in different countries. How did you get to the States then? How did you get to the U.S.? And so the last place we lived internationally was Brazil. We lived in Rio.
Not a bad place to live.
To be in high school in Brazil was fun.
My gosh, you've seen it.
Yeah. After Brazil, my father got transferred to a small town in the south of France.
Okay.
In Po, which is near the Pyrenees Mountains.
Wow.
And there wasn't an international school there.
Wow.
So they had to make a decision. Do I go to a European school and then that changes my trajectory for college in the States? Or do we send him to live with the aunt in Canada, which they did?
Okay.
And I lived with her for a year, and then it didn't really work out. And so my mom decided to move back from France to the States, and then we moved to D.C., Maryland area, which a lot of our family was. I did my last year of high school in D.C. at a military school.
Okay. Did you have any problems adjusting since you had been like a world traveler? Was it hard for you to adjust?
I think that's what made it easy to adjust is, we moved to 7 different countries.
Oh, wow.
Every couple of years. So adjusting was the easy part. The hard part was when you leave friends behind. But as far as getting to places, you have your moments when you're not the cool kid or don't know where you fit in, but you know how to navigate. It takes time.
Right. Yeah. So what's the vibe in Baltimore when you get there? Now you're like a senior in high school.
So I was in D.C.
I'm sorry, in D.C.
Okay. It's funny. My whole through middle school to high school, I wanted to go to military school. I'd see these military comedy movies with Up the Academy and Taps. And I had this thing just like the discipline.
Yeah.
And luckily a good friend of mine who lived with us in Guatemala had moved to D.C. and he went to a school called St. John's.
Okay.
St. John's College High School.
Right.
And I was lucky that they only accepted seniors that were out of state. And that was the only reason why I was able to go, which was great.
Wow.
So I got my wish to go to military school only for a year, but it was an impactful year for me.
Okay. Did you learn anything in the school? I
learned how to march. I learned how to shine my shoes and, pass inspections.
Yeah.
I made it a goal to graduate as an officer, and so I worked really hard the first semester, commendations and stuff, and I made officer the second semester of high school, which is almost impossible to do. And then so I was able to graduate with my stripes and whatever.
What a quiet storm you are. You're something else. So you graduate from high school. So then what's next? We go to college. Where are we going?
Yeah, I got accepted to go to Gettysburg College, which is in Pennsylvania, and I started playing soccer there and found music there, and stopped playing soccer, and then kind of focused on DJing. I studied Spanish as a major along with international business. Wow. And then a minor in Portuguese.
Wow. So hip hop pulled you in?
It pulled me in because of my roommates at the time. They were DJing, and I kind of was like, well, hey, this is kind of a cool way to meet people and think I'm cool.
Yeah.
And I kind of just immediately just gravitated towards
Really?
Almost stopped studying and was just DJing for
Really?
Just like practicing and learning.
Yeah.
And
parents loved the not studying part, didn't they?
They hated it.
Of
they
course.
didn't know a lot of it actually. They didn't know a lot about that, but I was serious about it.
You were. Well, you seem like just based on it, now you're a young adult here, very young, maybe 18, 19 years old, but your life had exposed you to be like a disciplinarian, like you follow structure, routine. So that's not the thing.
Yeah.
It's like you're probably like, whenever I make up my mind, I'm all in, I'm 10 toes down, and I'm in and I'm going for it. It's just that that's not what mom and dad had envisioned for their son.
No, they didn't. All they asked me was to give my best, do my best, and don't waste their time or their money.
All right now.
That's kind of like really basic rules, but like from a young age, because of the Caribbean discipline, you know, there's like an unspoken code. You just don't cross certain lines.
Come on, man.
You don't cross certain lines. So there's things I wouldn't imagine doing or coming home and having to report something to my mom. So it kept me on the right path. I wasn't on a wrong path at all. And then I just enjoyed discipline. You know, I enjoyed being sharp. I enjoyed keeping my word. I enjoyed, you know,
man of integrity and character.
And from a young age, knowing not what I wanted to be, but I knew who I wanted to be from a very young age.
And that's why we feel the vibe that we feel from you today, because of the early exposure in character building, man. God bless. Sure. That's awesome, because some people lack that, but you always have that. From what I feel like, you're good, solid cat, solid gentleman. So you got these roommates and they're DJing. What are they playing? What kind of music are they spinning?
I mean, we're playing house. I mean, back then you'd play house, hip hop, reggae, R&B, anything that mixed, really. You know, go-go, because it was the DC area. The records that stand out to me would be like Rakim, Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em, and BBD, Do Me. And I would take those songs and I'd mix them together, a cappella, instrumental, a cappella, for hours to get it right. And then really just practicing a lot. And then I really, in a short time, surpassed their abilities.
Of course you did. I'm not surprised.
I surpassed their abilities. And, you know, they went on to do other things in college. And, but I really just was like enthralled by it. But also it's because for them, being in music and around instruments and turntables and rap, that was a part of their life. I had to wait for my cousin to send me stuff when we lived in places. So it was almost like the lack of it made me want it more.
Wow.
So we would get music months after it came out.
Wow.
And I would only get information from my cousin. Listen to this Dougie Fresh.
Right.
I didn't have it firsthand.
Yeah. You know? And where was cousin? Was he in New York? He was in Maryland.
He was from New York, but
he was
between New York and Maryland.
Okay, so he had access to it more so than you did.
Oh, yeah, the recording, you know, Red Alert Show.
Of course. And Mr. Magic and all that.
I would get those, and I'd hold on to this cassette for a year.
It was like gold. It was like gold.
Oh, for sure.
Man.
For sure.
So your DJ, you remember your first DJing gig? Do you remember that?
It would have to be at the club on campus. It was a non-alcoholic club, alcoholic club on campus called the Dive. It was under the Olympic swimming pool. They made a club there. It would have to be in there. I don't remember the exact gig, but it would have to be that place.
It was there.
And I know whatever mixes I did, I practiced for months to get this routine of songs I was going to put together.
And what was the vibe like, the energy of the people that came? You remember?
It's college kids, so
they weren't really into you. There was a little bit.
They were
was
like,
drinking.
Let's stop here for a little bit. Let's stop here for a little bit. We're going to go to frat houses after.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha. So it's like
I kind of stayed in that lane where I was like, I'm going to make this work for me. I feel something with this music.
Yeah.
And I'm all in now because I've already spent $1,000 on turntables, you know, with credit cards and records you're buying. Every record, you're not borrowing records. You have to buy doubles because you want to do tricks.
Word up.
So I'm spending all my money on, and you're buying 5 genres, so you're broke pretty much.
You're broke. And $1,000 back then was a lot of money.
It was a lot.
That's like almost $10,000 back then. That's a lot of bread that you're spending on equipment and music.
Absolutely.
And needles and everything else.
And it's an ongoing.
Wow.
It's like sinkhole, really. You know, until you get it right and you start doing gigs and figuring out how to like market yourself.
So did we envision ourselves getting to New York? Like, how did we get to the Mecca or to the metropolis of all these people that are doing and living hip hop? Did that happen?
It didn't really happen like that, to be honest with you. Because, you know, I graduated at 93.
Yes.
And I was still doing mobile gigs and had a DJ van and going around to Pennsylvania and all these places doing gigs. But in the midst of that, I applied for the JET program, which was the Japan Exchange Teaching Program.
Yeah.
So I knew if I got in, I was leaving for at least a year, up to 3 years on that program. So one idea was to move to New York and try things there. But then I also had this passion for like Japan and their culture, and what would be the least expensive way for me to get there. And the program was it, because they flew you there, the housing was subsidized,
Right.
and you taught, but your weekends were yours, your nights were yours. So I left a dream in Maryland to pursue another dream, a shaky dream, but to pursue a dream in Japan. And that's, that was that route.
Okay.
And I feel like I like to think that God blessed me with, like, showing that I made the right decision by coming back and circumventing all that stuff to then come and meet one of the members of one of the most legendary groups. So it made me feel like I went to Japan for 3 years, did all that, moved to Atlanta, and met him here.
Wow.
So it wasn't in vain,
It wasn't in
and
vain.
it sharpened my sword as a DJ,
Ooh,
too.
because Japan has an appreciation for our culture anyway, musically.
Very much so.
I mean, we have more preview into it now because of social media, right? I could go on IG and I could see b-boys breaking, and they don't look nothing like me, but they are dressed like the culture I was raised up in.
100%.
They got it down. And so now we can see that they really have immersed. So imagining you going then, they were probably like, you were gold. Like,
I was gold because I had the dreads, I had the look.
Oh,
I had the look of a Mariah Carey dancer.
Got
which
you.
was the Helly Hansen jacket, Nikes, long dreads. Couldn't dance that much, but I looked like Link and Henry, all these guys. So, and then I DJ too.
Yeah.
But then on Monday, you'd see me in like a, dress pants, shirt, going to school on my bike,
Right.
teaching kids.
Teaching.
So there was a great balance between my hip hop life and then my teaching in Japan life. They barely bled over. Meaning students never saw me DJing, and
they never partied with their
They
teacher.
never partied with my teacher.
They never saw that.
They never saw that. So that experience just opened me up to, like, actually, not just knowing culture, but how do you make people that don't speak the language move to this music?
Excellent point.
And that's why I learned to, like, read the crowd.
Yes.
And if there's military guys in the crowd and Japanese people, how do you balance?
Excellent. Yeah.
So I had 3 years of, like, intensive training on that.
Because music is the language,
For sure.
for real. So while you're there in Japan, what led you to come to Atlanta?
My mom went through a divorce with my father, so she was in Maryland, and then she was debating leaving Maryland because of the memories and stuff.
Right.
And at that point, Atlanta was bubbling because the Olympics were coming.
Yeah, 96
Yeah.
now, yeah.
So this was 95, she moved to Atlanta.
Yeah.
So it was only natural for me once I moved from Japan to go back to where my mom was, to at least have a base, figure things out, and then move from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now you're here. Mom's here, right? Starting a new chapter in her life. The Olympics are here. There's a huge spotlight on Atlanta now at this point. Like, we've always heard about Atlanta from the Martin Luther King perspective, but now you could feel a change. Like, the infrastructure is changing, they're widening roads. It's a whole thing. And when people see the Olympics, despite what happened at Centennial Park, but they were like, this is a nice place to be. And when they saw that there was a lot of black and brown people here, they were like, wait a minute, like, I need to get down here. Exactly. So now things are changing. So now you're here with Mom. And then how do you meet this legendary person that you speak of?
Well, the funny thing is, in 94, spring 94, before I left to Japan, Gettysburg called me back to interview Tribe at Gettysburg for a spring concert they were there for.
Really?
And so I had a gig that day at Hood College, which was 30 minutes away. I couldn't go to the show, but I said I could come back and do the interview. That's why I first met them. Like, sat down with them, Phife's here, Q-Tip's here.
Yeah.
When I look at the video I have of it, there's their security and their road managers that are now my friends that I didn't even know that'd be like this close to them.
Yeah.
And so interviewed them there.
Amazing.
And then because I was Canadian, I had to leave to go to Japan from Canada.
Yes.
So it was the same weekend of Caravana.
Which is hot.
My cousin's like, I'm picking you up, we're going to a show. I said, what show is it? Oh, it's a Tribe Called Quest and Craig Mack. So that my last show leaving the West
was them.
Was Tribe, yeah. So it's bittersweet because my flight's 7 in the morning and it's 11 at night. I'm watching them perform.
Yeah.
Not knowing that 4 years later I'd meet my best friend.
You have no idea.
Bugged out.
Isn't God amazing? Like this universe is something else, man.
Yeah, it still shocks me when I think about it.
Oh my God. And with all the people, right? Because they funneled through some people, you know what I mean? They queens.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's 5 boroughs.
Yeah.
Like, so to go to Gettysburg, you know, this is a thing.
Like, and it goes back to, I think, like, when I look back at how I was born in a very unique situation, I've been afforded very unique situations
brother.
of that path of life.
Yeah.
It's not conventional by any means.
Yeah. I'm gonna hug you again when you get out of here. Get that love,
Right.
get that energy.
For sure.
So you guys, you go to the show. You did the interview, which was nice, right? It was a great interview.
The interview was nice. That was my first kind of interview for something on that level.
All right.
But just, I think the bigger picture was he's this close to me.
Yeah.
Not knowing that he'd be my best friend.
Right.
Crazy. When I look at the video, it's like, this is crazy.
Wow, it's
you
nuts.
Never know who you're gonna cross paths
right.
with, you know?
So now we did the Japan. We come back. Mom's in Atlanta. You're here. You reach out to Phife?
No, I was working. What was I doing? I was doing interpreting for a railroad company.
Wow,
this
guy's
doing Spanish
multi-talented.
and Portuguese.
Of course you were.
For them in Mexico, which is crazy. And then my friend Kalfani, who had a studio called Meta Music, it was called. And they were working on a track with Phife and a group called Rock City. And my friend called and said, "Hey, Phife's in the studio. Why don't you do some scratches?
Yes.
Why don't you come through?" And I was like, "This might be my opportunity."
Yeah.
I knew they were solo. I knew he had a DJ he had just kind of fired. So I went in there like with my business card, focused on like impressing him, you know what I mean? Did the scratches, but what ultimately ended up kind of cementing our bond was the Trinidadian culture, the accent, talking about the food and what mom would say, what grandma would say, and getting licks, you know, all the things we love and hate.
Yeah,
you know?
Man.
That's what kind of like probably stuck in his head.
Yeah.
And then 6 months later, he had a show at University of Maryland, College Park, and I got a call from the guys from Meta, and they're like, "Hey, Phife wants you to DJ a show for him," and that's how it kind of started. Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy indeed. Pretty crazy indeed. So was it exciting just being? First of all, like, this is like your first huge.
Oh yeah.
Like DJing experience to begin with, and then it's with Phife.
Yeah. It was. I mean, I remember the first day going to his house, got his address, we talked on the phone.
Right.
Got his address, took my turntables, mixer, and he had the show vinyl for the show, but the nerves of walking up to the house and ringing the doorbell, and this is, you know, when you look at being a fan and you hear their music, you read about them in the source, and now you're at his doorstep, and you hear the raspy voice, what's up, man? It's like, wow, this is crazy. So it's hard to keep it together, you know? It was exciting, and it was like, this is crazy, and then we just kind of did the show, and then we just kind of clicked from there.
Yeah.
We just literally clicked from there. And then he would hang out at my house, and we'd make beats together, and we just became friends.
How long did you have an opportunity to work with him? How many years?
I worked with him from 1998 until 2016.
Wow.
So it's 18 years, which is technically, when I think about it, longer than he was with the group.
That's what I'm thinking,
Which is trippy.
Wow. That's a long time.
It is.
That's a long time. And I know you miss him. We all do. And it's a very interesting year for hip hop, right? Because it's celebrating its 50th year. And for the listeners that don't know, I'm from Bronx River, right? So that's the whole Africa Bambaataa, Zulu Nation, that whole thing, you know? So I grew up with Bam DJing in the back of the center, running extension cords from his apartment for electricity, you know, and guys bringing out lamps, their mother's lamps from the living room to provide light at night. Like I seen it, you know what I mean? Like I saw, you know, people scratching, finding beats and songs that we listen to, and people lean in, like listen to WABC radio, like Dick Clark, AM transistors before there was FM. And now this whole culture is emerging. So we're like, yes, for hip hop, you know, like, cause my mother could not stand it. She said it was a bunch of noise. She said it was a bunch of, what is that noise, Michelle? Turn off that noise. It's nothing but noise. How can you understand what I'm saying? It was just noise, but it was our thing. And as you get older, when you're not a child and you can have conversations with your parents, I said to her, Mom, it's the same thing like when you listen to doo-wop, right? It was something that your mother didn't understand. Right? But it was something that made you snap your feet and wore your little skirts and saddle soap shoes and, you know, and you saw the birth of Motown and R&B and that was your thing. I said, that was hip hop for us, right? The fact that it could take all of these different genres of music that we heard and it broke it into samples and beats, and we just was kids and we had a great time. And then it was a style, it was a fashion that went with it too, and an art. So we're wearing graffiti type sweatshirts and straight leg jeans, and we put the safety pins on the side to make them real straight. And Shell Toes came with Run DMC, but I grew up in Pro Cats. It's a whole thing. So now it's 50 years, and it's like, we want everybody to be able to come to the table. And unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago, we lost another iconic person, right? Plug 2 from De La Soul. Big things happening in New York to just celebrate. I mean, I just saw at Webster Hall on Friday night, like everybody came out, even those that are actors like Latifah coming in, you know what I mean? So this is a thing. You are a part of a thing. How does that make you feel, Rasta Root?
That's a great question. I think for me, I'm definitely, first of all, honored. I'm definitely very blessed, first of all, to meet somebody like Phife, who was from a group like Tribe. But more importantly, to meet a person that was so humble. And one of the sweetest, nicest people I've met in my life. You know, you don't meet too many of those, you know. And then when you do meet them, they may not stay around, you know. So I'm honored that I got to spend the time I did with him. Every minute we spent together, I feel like we lived to the fullest. And just adjacent to him being what he is to the culture, I feel a part of it, you know? I'm just glad I was able to help him, you know, with his journey and moving along, but totally humbled by the respect that I get from other artists, other people that know him and know how we care for each other. It's not your conventional way of getting into the circle at all, you know, but I can make those calls to people and, you know, ask questions and get answers that I need from people that are notables in the industry, people that I grew up admiring, people that are part of the paint that went on the canvas of my mixes, you know, and the music and the story I try to tell. So it still blows my mind.
But you're not a slouch. You know, you did the work. You know what I mean? So it makes sense that you guys were together, because he was a dope lyricist, and so it just made sense that you guys were together. What were you just a DJ for him, or did you were you his manager as well over time?
So I started as his DJ, and then I went on. He was kind of shuffling through different managers and solos, because he was also trying to figure out what it meant for him to be a soloist, because he'd been in a group so long. It's hard to break out of that.
It is.
You know, so he had a few managers before me, and then I started learning by seeing what was going on, what was lacking, and how to like move him and motivate him as an artist. And then once the group started talking again, I then became co-manager of Tribe.
Nice.
And along that, I was also producing for him. So we had many hats were worn, and sometimes it was hard to turn off.
The hats.
For sure.
Did you like DJing more so than producing, or it's kind of even, Steven?
I like DJing more. I think I'm a better DJ than I am producer. I have, it's like a second nature thing to me. Timing and time and watching the artist on stage and understanding body language and not having to have a verbal communication to understand what the cues are. Is an art that I developed working with Phife and seeing his back on stage
all the time.
Years.
For years.
Signal and when he's breathing heavy, I know to do a little more ad libs and those kind of
Oh, is that right? And you know, he had a love for, well, you, of course you knew, but he loved sports, so I'm sure he brought a lot of that, you know.
Oh, for sure. Hand signals, audibles. There were certain times where we would do events and he might miss a cue as the rapper guy. Yeah. He'd throw me under the bus. It's funny. Like, what are you doing, Roots? But it was him.
It was him.
But, you know, that was just our thing.
It's okay.
So, I wouldn't trade that for anything, you know?
Where did the term "we made it" come from?
So, he has a song called Nutshell. And this was around the time he wrote the verses while they were recording the Tribe album. And in one of the verses of the song, he's saying his lines, then he says, "Roots, we made it," you know? And I had heard my name on record before, but that stuck out to me because I feel like it had so many different meanings. Yes. And I'm still figuring out what those meanings are. Yes. I think at the time he was more so saying, you know, his music's together, we have the label, we're putting out the album, we made it. We made it. No matter what people think about the album or the work, we're here. We're here. Yeah. That's love. And be present, you know? That's love. Yeah, that is love. That's love. You know, it's awesome. Do you feel that we've made it? I feel like we've made it till now, but you don't rest on your laurels. You don't stop. I always believe, like, take a moment to enjoy what's in front of you, but understand that you got to keep moving and pushing. Sometimes people just rest on their laurels. It's that I was the star quarterback in high school syndrome. That kind of thing. Yeah. You don't want to get caught in that. You know, and it's hard too. It's hard to really balance that out because age happens, life happens, priorities change, and so it's kind of hard to really be effective. That's the other thing too, and really add value in whatever you're doing. Right? I think people lose their way, or it's just not the same thing. Like what you were giving people 5-10 years ago, you may not be able to serve it to them today. 100%, and I think that's the important part is recognizing as humans that we are flawed, and we can't deliver the same performance all the time. Right. Like I don't think my energy to rock MJQ like I did 10 years ago is different. It's different now because I'm a different person. Yes, now. You are. My priorities have shifted. Yes. But no one can take away the accomplishments of any of us, you know, anything we've done. They can't take it away. But what I don't want to do is just be remembered for that. I want to continuously be remembered for, you know, uplifting the culture, moving the culture forward, moving DJing forward, motivating people. Those things I think that are now more important to me than that was a dope DJ. And you have brought, you know, this underground vibe of hip hop that some of us from back in the day up the way miss. Like it's a Timberland boot wearing extravaganza when we come through JQ's. Yeah, like we feel a way when we come in there with you. Because it's funny you said, because when we were formulating the night, we were trying to mimic what we thought a night in New York would look like. It feels like it. But then when you talk to people who, the Mr. Waltz and all these legends in underground hip hop that came to our events and said, we wish we had this in New York. That doesn't exist in New York. Not anymore. It does not anymore, right? No. But I think like this is our version of it, and I think people who love that stuff recognize that. I've been in restaurants and I was gonna pay the check, and someone said, the waiter was like, "No, someone paid it for you." Wow. And then the female came over and she's like, "I just want you to know that it's because of you that I decided to stay. I was gonna leave, I came out to your night one night, and you just changed my mind." Oh my gosh! So that's the most flattering thing you could ever hear from anybody. It is a beautiful space in the sense that if you're homesick, or if you feel that the culture doesn't exist, or the genre has changed so much so that you don't even want to be a part of it, it gives you a sense of home. And it takes you back to certain places and times in your mind, growing up as a kid or even as a young adult or wherever, that made you feel good and made you feel proud to be a part of this thing called hip hop. Whether it was the Kango hats or the Gazelles or the Timbos or whatever, but it's relatable. And to have the whole room
singing in one accord is man, like we cannot take that from you. So thank you.
No,
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for that, because that helped us many a times, especially when we can't get home or whatever's going on. And you know, life changes. You try to grow up, you try to be this adult, but there's pieces of your childhood or your being a young adult that you never want to give up.
Right, you're right.
You never really want to give up. And sometimes we connect with people that don't understand that, and we table it. I'm talking to folks now. We put it on the shelf, we put it in the closet, and you know, you can't do that. That's a part of who you are.
Exactly.
So I strongly recommend people to get with people that are going to accept you for who you are, because you come with, first of all, black people are not monolithic.
Right.
First of all, so we're going to come with different shades or expressions. Deal with it.
Exactly.
Be okay with it. Hip hop is not a bad thing.
Exactly.
It's not a bad thing. Exactly. So you've done some legendary work in that space. And so MJQ's is closing, the location where it is now, very historical. It had that grungy underground New York subway tunnel feel. We loved it. And so it's going to a different place. And so only time will tell, you know, how they do the aesthetics once it opens, you know, what kind of vibe you'll be able to create there.
Exactly.
And then, you know, you'll go from there. But we'll follow you. We'll go where you go.
I appreciate
Doesn't
that.
matter, because, you know, maybe at the end of the day, it's really the sound, right, and the people and the experience that, you know what I mean? And, you know, if you're hosting it, we know it's going to be what it's going to be. So we'll be okay. We'll be in good hands.
100%.
So now you used to teach, right, in Japan. Are we teaching now?
I'm actually on a sabbatical now.
Really?
To explore other things, but up until a semester ago, I was teaching at Emory in the School of Music, teaching hip-hop composition. They want me to come back badly, but the time-wise, it's not working out with what I'm trying to do now.
Okay.
But I think I'll always have like an open door there.
Of course you will. And how long did you teach there?
3 years.
And did they just come to you?
They
Roots?
did.
How did they just found you, just looked you up, like, you know, what? What the hell? What?
I got recommended. I got recommended to do a speaking engagement.
Yes.
Like a master class in music production on a song I did for Phife, actually, called
Wow.
Dilla.
Yes.
And then after it was done, the professors that were there, they felt that it was too short, and they said it'd be nice. I wish we had more time to do this. Would you consider if we bring it up to our however that works? Doing it, would you be up to it? And I felt like it was a time in my life I wanted to give back. I understood the name Emory.
Yes.
I also understood what was lacking at Emory, and I felt like I could bring some type of diversity and bridge the gap between Emory, which is almost like a little city in itself.
Yes, it is.
In Atlanta, and it's hard for them to reach out. They haven't figured that out
yet. Yeah. Good school. I mean, great school academically, but it does feel like they're in their own pocket.
Yes.
You know,
and
so
they're
to speak.
trying. They're just still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
There's a hip hop archive there now. The class that I did. And they want the class back. Every time they list it, when I did it, there was always a waiting list.
I was going to say the enrollment went like
they
that.
didn't tell me that because they obviously don't want to.
Yeah, because they have to pay you. They have to pay you for that. You know what I'm saying?
Other people told me it's like there's like a 20-person waiting list to get in your.
20 person. How many students were in the class typically?
12 to 13.
Is that right?
Anything bigger for me, I feel, would be a disservice to them. So I try to keep it small and manageable. And but yeah, it was cool because that curriculum I can take and apply other places, which is I think what the value and the goal is.
Yeah. So you're teaching them how to DJ?
No, I was teaching them how to produce music.
Producing music.
Produce music. There's history of DJing, history of music, but it was mainly using a DAW called Serato Studio to create musical compositions.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you know if any of your students got work after taking your class in that space?
Yeah, a couple of students.
Look at that.
Are engineering at studios.
Beautiful.
Are indie artists. Pursuing music on a full-time basis. And one of the things I try to kind of share in my class is I want to give them the things that I didn't have. Trying to figure it out. I remember writing handwritten letters to labels trying to get records, promo records, because it was getting expensive. I didn't have the relationships to call up Def Jam and be like, hey, can you put me on the promo list? Even though you probably could do that, I didn't know that. But in the class, I try to share as much as I can with them so they have somewhat of a leg up or a little bit of a hand. They still have to do the work,
Yeah.
but there's an infrastructure and a resource center for them to kind of like ask questions and figure things out.
I'm glad you mentioned Def Jam because the record industry is totally different than it was 18 years ago, right? It was like the place to be. Like, you know, deals was happening, videos was popping. Now it is such a different medium.
It is.
Do you still have a connection or a vibe or a pulse in that space or not really? It's
Not
changed,
really.
right?
Honestly, I can't never really say that I had like a pulse in it, just honestly.
All right.
Because I always believe in being independent.
Understood.
Kind of doing things yourself.
Yeah.
Or myself or amongst ourselves.
Right.
It's definitely changed. I think it's still fighting the grave, you know, but I think with social media, it's like scratching and crawling. No, I'm not ready to go. But I think like, you know, with the right resources and all the apps that are out and, you know, building your own team, you can do things yourself.
Yeah.
And then skip the label part and maybe get a distribution deal or marketing. And then if you meet them where you are, they might be able to partner with you and make your project successful. But it's definitely a different.
It's so different.
It's so different. It's
It's
very different.
so, and even you know, for me, because I'm watching and I'm chasing people that podcast or do talk shows and stuff. And even if they are on a syndicated show that has the ratings, they still have a podcast. They still want to do something independent of what their full-time job is so that they can be free to express themselves and really have the control of the content and all that kind of stuff. I'm just like, wow, it's just so different. And it seems competitive, but then someone will say, there's room for everyone.
Right.
That's what they'll say.
Right.
What are some of the next projects you're working on? What do you got going on?
So I'm working with a young talented artist named Zay Because, who's right there.
Hey!
So I've known him since he was 19, I think it is. And so he's just...
And he's good looking too. You guys can't see, but he's good looking.
He's talented, he's level-headed, he's smart, he's ambitious. He's everything that I wanted for myself, you know what I mean?
Good.
Coming up and everything I hope to push to the front for people to see. So I believe in supporting those type of people. And so it's a small group of us that work together, and we have our own loose conglomerate, I'd say, of artists, producers, and we feel like we can do everything ourselves. You know? And so helping him and other people in our collective kind of navigate growing up in the industry, and doing things right and being honorable, all the things that I learned and I believe in, to kind of like not just take from the culture, but also be able to give back at some point.
Yeah.
You know,
it's important because we can't take it with us. And we are, even though we look amazing, we are getting older.
100%.
And so we have to pass it on for those that are interested, you know, that really want to understand what we learn. And it's an exchange because they teach us too, right? Because it's just a different world. It's a digital world.
Right.
It is so online and it's just totally different. And so they bring something to the space that we weren't even possibly thinking of. So it's awesome. I love to hear that because oftentimes, to your earlier point, we get in our own head and, you know, and that high school quarterback and we cross our arms and I don't want to play fair and don't want to extend or pay it forward. So that a piece of what you've done can still carry on.
Absolutely.
And it still promotes the genre. The music continues. Because, again, we don't want to take it with us.
Yeah. And one thing I try to always ask my close friends, my older friends, are you okay being the king or the kingmaker? You know?
Ooh, good
sometimes,
question.
you know, we go hard on, like, DJing, but as you get older, it's a young man's game. As is rap and things like that. So at some point you have to pass the baton. And I think years ago I visualized my exit plan knowing that I wouldn't be the hot DJ in Atlanta the whole time. It's gonna have to transition to somebody else. Technology shows that's happening. Anybody can DJ. You know what I mean? And also, like, you know, aware that there's an expiration date, you know, but that doesn't mean you can't be involved but also be evolved. You know? So I'm very, very involved, but I've evolved a lot. I'm a different person than I was 10 years ago.
Are you going to make it to New York when they open up the Universal Hip Hop Museum? What say you?
I think I will make it there. I think I will. But I also think, to a certain extent, New York as a whole is a museum.
Come on, sir.
You
Good
know?
answer. Good answer.
I feel like
Good
in
answer.
New York in the right circles, you're going to be in a museum.
I know.
You know?
I know.
So I'll definitely go and support it.
Yeah.
But also going to New York, there's an energy about it that
Come on.
I can't stay too long. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
But there's an energy about it that I leave with, and it invigorates
What
me.
are you good for, like 2 days, 2-3 days?
Yeah, it's like any of those cities. LA, Vegas, New York is 2 days and I'm out.
That's it?
Yeah.
So Atlanta really feels home for you?
Not even. No, Barcelona, Spain feels like home to me.
Whoa!
But Atlanta is different because my home is here. So
Yeah.
in my home, it's like my own little world.
Yes.
So it doesn't even feel like
The
Atlanta.
man said Barcelona and Spain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
Barcelona, Spain, for sure. I would move there in a heartbeat.
How many languages you speak?
I speak 4 languages.
Come on, brother.
I do. Well, I found out recently it's probably 3.5 because I was tested on my Japanese casually at a restaurant. I was like, I'm not as good as I thought I was. But I speak fluent Portuguese, fluent Spanish,
Good
English, of
for
course,
you.
and conversational Japanese. I say reluctantly.
You are a Renaissance man.
I'd like to think that I really would. When I look back at like the definition
You
of that,
are a Renaissance man.
yeah,
With the love of hip hop
right?
across
I
thy
know,
chest.
right? It's crazy. It's such a crazy like.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is so
Look like a
good.
proud mom.
I know. Just like, because oftentimes we don't hear these kind of stories, right? And again, just honored to have you here today and not waiting down the road, like to get it firsthand. This is awesome, man.
Yeah.
Like you've learned and done a lot of things with this culture.
I have, and I feel like there's a lot about me, and this interview helps a lot. That
Yeah.
a lot of people, they know like high level, but very high level, but there's a lot about me that I haven't really shared or even like leaned on as far as talents and abilities.
Yeah. Now that you worked with Phife for 18 years, right? Is there anybody else besides your current protege here that you'd like to work with that you haven't?
To be honest with you, at this stage, no.
No.
At this stage,
Okay.
I've worked with several people in different capacities, but I would say no.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I'm good.
You're very
good.
satisfied.
Yeah, I am.
You're
Maybe if 10 years ago I would answer differently, but I'm good. I'm good.
Who would it have been 10 years ago? Just
For me, I mean,
who would it have been?
Ghostface Killer.
Good answer.
There's definitely been one.
Yeah,
for
somebody
sure.
from the Wu. You'd never worked with anybody with the Wu?
No. I mean, Redman's an extension of the
Yes!
Wu.
I was going to say.
But we work with him a lot. Yeah, he's definitely one of the
I was going to say, yeah.
adjacent members.
He is.
And he's the closest thing to it. So in that sense, yes, I have.
Yeah, you have. And he can play 2 cards because he got that Eric Sherman,
Def Squad.
Hit
Yep.
Squad, that thing. And then he got the Woo. He's like
Woo.
fam.
Exactly.
And then he had fam with De La too. He was that guy.
Yeah, for
he was
sure.
that hot joker.
And he's one of, like, again, with Phife, he's also one of the nicest people.
Really? Reggie
the
Noble.
nicest
Reggie
people,
Noble.
Yes. and the thing with him, the funny thing with the Reggie story is, I also, in Japan, when rappers would come to shows,
Yes.
Wu-Tang came, Def Squad came,
Yeah.
all these other people. As a DJ, I would go to these shows, and it would be easy for me to get these voice drops. Yo, this is Redman chilling with Nas, all these people, because there was not many black people. Yeah. So Redman was one of the people that we met in Japan in 1996.
Wow.
And over the years, then I DJ'd his album release party in Atlanta for Def Jam in 2001, 2002. And then as we start meeting, we start becoming friends slowly. And then next thing you know, when I show him pictures from back then, I sent him a picture yesterday, actually.
Yeah.
And he doesn't remember, but he was in Japan with Eric Sermon.
Yeah.
And so I've developed these friendships, and then now we work together. You know, I help him with stuff, and it's pretty. That's why I answer. There's no one I want to work with.
Yeah.
These are my dream cast members.
You've been doing good. You've been doing the work all this time.
For sure.
How can people find you, Rasta
People can
Root?
find me on obviously social media. It's all at DJ Rasta Root. When I'm out and about, which is rare, but when I am out and about, people say I have an unapproachable look to my face. That's because I'm always busy going somewhere, but I'm always free to talk to people.
You always have that look, but it don't stop me.
No, it shouldn't, and it shouldn't.
You know,
you cracked the code. So
yeah, it don't stop me. You and I connected just through DM talk, just because I think I might have tipped my hat and said, "Great show, thank you so much."
Yep.
You were kind enough to respond.
Course,
Then I see you. Hi, I'm the one in the DM. You gave me the love, and I was like, "That's a decent dude."
Of course, I feel like
very decent guy.
Yeah, I just couldn't imagine not. I was raised that way. My mom would look at me. My mom would give me licks if I didn't treat people with respect. You know what I mean?
Lick, yes.
And so I don't forget those lessons, and I believe the people you're meeting on the way up is the people you meet on the way down. So there's that.
Yeah.
And also, I don't discount anybody because there's one day that either I'll be a resource for you or you can be a resource for me. It may not be now. It could be in 5 years, 3 years. But one day we may be working together.
Yeah, maybe.
So I don't discount anybody.
Appreciate that. Let me ask you one last question. You've done the Friday face-offs. Do you have one in particular that was your favorite?
A good question. My favorite face-off Fridays would be... There was one for A3C where A3C had ours fell on the Friday. No, it didn't. I switched with another DJ so ours would fall on the A3C Friday deliberately. And A3C had an after party for the Friday, but we had hyped ours up so much with our network and stuff that no one went to theirs. We weren't even A3C an event, but we let everybody in from A3C come. So we had, actually De La was there. The Beat Miners were there. Beat Nuts were there. It was insane. Kid Capri. It was insane.
Heavy.
It was insane.
Yeah.
It was insane. And then to top it off at the end of that, Just Blaze comes in with his laptop bag, and he couldn't even help himself because the energy was so
heavy.
Joey Badass was there.
Ooh.
Green Lantern.
Yes.
Selector.
That's when AC3 was like, woo.
Yeah. And Just was like, yo, can I get on? I was like, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And he ended the night from like 2:30 to 3 and just lights on and killed it.
Were you in MJQ's for that one or somewhere else?
MJQ.
And MJQ's is too tight for all of that.
There's a lot of people.
Because the stage is like this when you're heavy.
Yeah, if you type in on YouTube, Just Blaze, MJQ,
that the ones come, man.
That's my most memorable. That was when I was like, this is hip hop, right? It was everybody in the building.
That was hip hop.
Everybody was there.
That's hip hop.
Yeah, it was. It took me days to
come down.
And absorb what had happened.
That was iconic. That was legendary. And that what makes it so legendary is spontaneous. Like you're just gonna be like, I'm throwing the flares up. We're gonna be here, and then the fact that people chose to be there, and it just raises it to another height.
There's no way of surpassing that. That was it. That was it. Of course, Redman performed in 17. That'd be my number 2.
That was mine. I was going to say that one.
You were there for that?
Yes. I was going to say that one.
What was insane about that one?
That one was so dope. I was going to say that one.
It was crazy. And the craziest part to me is because I'm a huge Redman fan.
Yeah.
On Tonight's the Night when they did that, his hype man, he goes beef after that. He goes Rasta Root packs the gat. And in my head I was like, you can bury me now. I'm done.
He said that.
And that's on video too on YouTube.
Yes, he said that. That was a good one. That was so good.
It's between those two.
Yeah, man. I was there for the Redman one.
It was 2017. I was our 12th.
Yes. It was delicious.
Yeah, he was talking about it days after that.
Yeah, that was a good one.
He was talking about it.
It was a good one. And I think what it is that I think you roll with a conglomerate of people that love what they do, and they're not going to say no, but I think what turns them on is when they get to be like regular citizens, and then something just comes on them and they want to get on the mic.
Absolutely.
And that's when you get that legendary, they dropping some lyrics or something that we've not heard it done that way before, and it makes it, that's hip-hop.
Hip-hop. Talib was the same thing. It happened with him too. He DM'd, he's like, yo, I'm coming through.
Yeah.
And I don't know him like that.
Yeah.
But I said, let me get his instrumentals ready just in case. And he was just gonna host, but the energy, I saw, if you look at the video, you could see when he's like, and he comes from behind the booth and goes on stage.
Yeah. Kills it.
For free. Thank you, Talib, for
real.
Because those are moments that made and solidified MJQ's Face Off Fridays.
Face Off Fridays for you, for sure.
100%.
And you're just a humble guy. We see in the video, you're just a humble guy. Like, hey, yo, what's up? You know, like we have to know you to know that that's your thing. You know what I mean?
I just believe in just being like, nothing's ever gonna change who I am as a person.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you get people that get money and get fame, but I don't think it changes them. It just magnifies what was already there.
Right.
I know who I am, and I'm solid as a person to myself.
Yes.
So nothing will ever change how I treat him or you.
Yeah.
The producer.
Yeah. I'll
always be
that.
the same person.
I appreciate that. Whatever it
and
is.
It's recorded now, so
it's locked
I can't
in. I got you.
now.
I got you locked in. Whatever it is that I can do, my brand, this platform, it's a done deal.
Thank you.
I'm going to be a fan. I'm going to be the person that pays at the door. You ain't got to put me on the list. I appreciate because I support you and I appreciate you.
All right, thank you.
And what you've done for the culture, for the genre, for the brand, for Atlanta, and allowing us to feel like wherever we've come from before, we have this place here, and we can resonate in this, and we feel comfortable. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for loving Phife, loving the people you've come into contact, the work that you've done. I just wish you nothing but more continued success.
And I appreciate you and your platform, and thank you for allowing me to come in here
absolutely.
humbly. And I wish you the best of luck in any
Thank you.
I or my team can help. We're here.
Fantastic. This is just the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Love it.
I love it.
Love it.
Yeah, man, that's my time. Listen, Real Chicks Rock, you know you can find me everywhere. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. Listen, we have partnered and collaborated with some beautiful women. It's called Divine Trilogy. We're going down to Miami the weekend of April 21st to the 23rd. It is art, music, and community. You need to go to Eventbrite, cop your ticket, come on down there. You think the weather is nice in Atlanta? It's even more beautiful in Miami. We would love to see you down there. Listen, one of my favorite heroes was Frankie Crocker on WBLS. He used to say this all the time as he ended his show. He said, may you live to be 100 and I live to be 100 minus a day. So I never know that beautiful people like you have passed away. Until next time, be well, take care, and continue to rock on. Thank you for checking out Real Chicks Rock Presents Real Discussions. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next show.